Hi there, my name's Scott McDonald, and in today's video I'm going to be trying a 1-hour challenge in which I attempt to learn a new, scary trick in 60 minutes or less. Today's challenge is to learn a wall demon with an extra twist, and was inspired by this guy, Jeremy Lewandowski. He was the first person I ever saw do this trick, and if there's anything I love, it's unique, rare skills, so I sent Jeremy a message asking for tips. He told me that the trick wasn't physically difficult, but it could be hard to commit to, and suggested learning it by breaking it down into a full up and a full down. I headed to the gym, and as these things often go, my friend Samon joined me for the challenge, so we started by following Jeremy's advice. We did regular demons, imagining how it would feel to add another twist during the descent, and also tried to replicate that feeling by just doing a hand plant, waiting until we began to fall, and then pulling a full down to our backs. For one brief moment, I also thought that perhaps doing a demon and adding a little more twist at the end but landing on my feet might help, but honestly that just felt awkward and sketchy, so that didn't really go very far. Next, we tried adding an additional hand plant to the end of a regular demon, just to get used to the idea of continuing the motion after the first twist. At this point, we were only 5 or so minutes in, but it really felt like this trick was going to be easy if we just committed to doing it, so to keep things moving and stay safe, we got a throw mat. Now, if you've watched any of my other 1-hour challenges, you're probably familiar with this pattern by now. It almost always seems like it's going to be easy in the first 5 minutes, and it almost never is. Thank you, Dunning-Kruger effect. All psychology aside, I tried to inch my way towards doing the trick by looking over my shoulder and spotting the bed again, just like I would have to in the 720 version. From there, I decided that doing 1.5 twists might be a good intermediary instead of having to jump straight from 1 twist to 2. I definitely wouldn't have gone for this without the mat, but having a soft landing made it pretty easy, and it made the idea of adding another half twist seem pretty approachable. I didn't want to procrastinate and give myself time to get scared, so I immediately tried the full trick, and while it was nowhere near as nice as Jeremy's, I had at least proven to myself that I could get it around. I would still need to do it with no mat, but first, it was Samon's turn. In classic Samon fashion, he went straight for the trick and managed to do a nice full up, full down version that landed in a little bit of a side drop. We both kept drilling using the mat for a little while. I was struggling to do the last part of the trick without launching myself away from the wall at this weird, awkward angle, and Samon was working on straightening his landing out and squaring back up. After about 20 minutes of training, we took a quick break to re-watch videos of Jeremy and analyze his technique, then I asked Samon if he could throw a smaller mat. That went totally fine, so I decided I would try the trick itself, and kinda whiplashy, but still a success. Even though the landing was pretty rough, I had technically completed the challenge after about half an hour, so I decided to dedicate the remaining time to cleaning up the trick. Samon felt that using a smaller mat was kind of a needless formality, so he went ahead and tried the trick to the bed, which went well until the rebound left him flailing in the void. He immediately gave it another try, and this time he managed to re-anchor against the wall, thereby also completing the challenge. As we kept training, I was consistently able to get the trick around, but my technique still felt sketchy, especially the way I kept sliding down the face of the wall. We decided to rewatch Jeremy and see if there was anything we had missed, and sure enough, we noticed 2 major things. 1, he actually steps twice and anchors his opposite foot against the wall, and 2, he then pushes through that foot to boost himself upward and gain extra height. Once we realized this, we brought the mat back out and practiced doing single demons that ended by gaining height instead of losing it. I was a little worried that if I did boost myself properly, my hand was going to blindly reach over the top and miss the wall completely. Since that was already on my mind, I didn't want to get confused by also changing which foot I initiated the trick with, so I kept my usual stance, gave it a try to the mat, and it felt really good up until the part where I ejected myself from the trampoline. Samon practiced boosting his normal demon with no mat and then applied it to the trick itself, which went really nicely, and since there were only about 10 minutes left in the hour and he had to get ready to teach a class, he called it good for the day. I, on the other hand, kept training, since I still wasn't satisfied with how my trick looked. Even though boosting myself upward had helped a lot, I was still pushing myself away from the wall in this panicked, awkward way, and on top of that, my right wrist was really starting to ache after 50 minutes of slamming my hands into the wall. In order to maximize the remaining 5 minutes, I tried to trick myself into believing that I had already done thousands of 720 demons and they were no problem at all. As silly as that might sound, I honestly find that faking it till you make it is an extremely valid training technique, so once I removed any hesitation and approached the trick confidently, it immediately got way cleaner and felt much nicer to do. That said, I'd also like to point out that my fears about reaching above the top were valid, as it almost happened right here. Fortunately, nothing bad happened, so after that I decided to do one final 720 demon, and since it was easily my best one, I decided to call it a day. So yeah, while doing the trick itself wasn't that hard, doing it well was another story, and I think that's a good lesson for any form of artist or athlete. We always compare ourselves to others, but we forget that what we see on stage or on social media is the final product, not the beginning of the learning process. Cleaning up your tricks takes time, and while I do realize exactly how hypocritical it is of me to say this in a 1-hour challenge video, remember that learning skills is not a race. I promise if you're patient and you focus on having good technique, you'll get much better results than if you try and rush the process. All preaching aside, I want to say a big thank you to Samon for joining me, and to Jeremy for inspiring this video. I've left links to both of their social media in the description below, so please go check them out, they're both extremely talented acrobats. On that note, I'm going to wrap things up, so please like, share, and subscribe. If you're interested in coaching or workshops, you can message me on Instagram at Scott A. McDonald, and until next time, good luck and happy training.